I see more and more headlines and YouTube titles that are like, 14-year-old on TREN, 13-year-old girl on SARMs, and it seems to be becoming more and more popular at an exponential rate. Even just the past few months, I've seen way more titles and way more news about very, very young people on steroids. So I wanted to give you a 10-step process for actually deciding when to go down that road, because I think a lot of people are going down that road way, way too early. Now, I'm not saying that steroids are bad or evil.
Just tell them illegal drugs are bad, so don't mess with them.
Illegal drugs are bad news. Don't mess with them.
I'm also not saying, like, you have to earn it, but it probably doesn't really make sense to use them if you don't check most of these boxes off.
Don't, or else. Okay.
Now, number one is going to be training knowledge and habits. It's not enough to actually know the information. You also have to show that you can apply it to yourself. I see a lot of people taking drugs without having their training in order. This means that you're actually going to get less out of the drugs. Just taking drugs, yeah, you might build some muscle, some strength, your weight might go up, but you're not going to get very much out of them if you don't know how to train properly. How many people know how to train properly at 14 years old? None. Zero. Like, no one at 14 knows how to properly train. You need to be at least in the gym, I would say 3 years, and 4 or 5 years is going to be better. No one gets their first year right, plus you have your newbie gains anyway. Especially if you're at 14, 15, 16, you're already going through puberty. And so it doesn't really make any sense to hop on gear when you're already going to make excellent gains naturally. So I would suggest 3 to 5 years in the gym of near optimal training before you even think about going down that road. This isn't like to earn it or earn your stripes or earn your steroids or anything like that. This is simply because using it before then is an absolute goddamn waste. It's a waste of the actual drugs. It's a waste of your health. It's a waste of just the muscle building potential. Use it later when you actually need it. When you actually need it to get to your goal. I think a lot of people on the internet are normalizing steroids and SARMs and testosterone. Greg Doucette had a video titled, what was it called? Best Supplements for Ectomorphs.
Testosterone. Now this ain't natty, that's for sure, but trust me, I'm going to tell you the real truth here. If you're an ectomorph,
the idea that you should train and diet according to your body type is busted. Somatotyping has a history rich in pseudoscience.
don't expect that you're going to be able to get jacked and huge just by taking a bunch of natural supplements. I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as an ectomorph. This concept has already been debunked for a long time. And for someone with a master's in kinesiology to use the term ectomorph, I find to be a little bit hilarious, to be honest. I've debunked this. Geoff Nipper did a good video as well. There's really no such thing as an ectomorph. And if you think of yourself as an ectomorph, you're putting yourself in this tiny box when in fact there is a wide variety of people. There is no type of people. And that's just some V-shred bullshit. And so for Greg to use this term is actually pretty shocking.
Without testosterone, chances of getting huge, very small. This is for ectomorphs.
Pseudoscience.
Not telling you you should use it, just saying it would clearly help a lot if you did. Okay, you could use it at HRT levels from a doctor, or maybe you're cycling it, maybe you're not. It's not for me to tell you what you can or can't do with your body, depending on the country you're in and the laws of that country.
Then, in this list of supplements, he has testosterone and a SARM. SARMs are not supplements. Let me make that very, very clear. Manipulating your hormones is not a supplement. And testosterone is definitely not a supplement. And the vibe that you get, and the vibe that he is giving towards children who are watching his videos, is that you're not going to make gains naturally, and therefore it makes sense to hop on testosterone. Now, he does qualify a lot of what he says. He says, not to break the law, but he's still glorifying these compounds. The vibe is like, oh, you're building a house. If you build a house naturally, it's one person building the house. If you hop on this gear, it's like a whole team of people building the house.
Testosterone is going to dramatically help build muscle at an accelerated rate. Okay, consider it like trying to build a house. If you're trying to build a house on your own, it's going to take you a long time. Taking testosterone, it's like hiring an entire construction crew to come and build the house at the same time together. It's going to build it a lot faster.
I do realize criticizing Greg Doucette is something that a lot of people in the fitness industry are not willing to do. He is a juggernaut.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
He is a titan in the industry, and he has an extremely loyal and at times rabid fan base. Plus, there is a lot of cross-pollination between my channel and his. YouTube actually shows me which videos my audience also watched. And I'll show you which ones they are. More Plates, More Dates, Bugenhagen, Dates, Greg Doucette, Athlean X, Dates, Doucette, Sean Alawani, Doucette. So it's about half Greg Doucette. That being said, when I see something that I disagree with, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to beat around the bush just because someone has a large following. I think it's important to say how you feel, especially when it's something that is really, really wrong, like using ecto-endomeso,
pseudoscience,
or glorifying testosterone and putting it in a supplements list. I mean, what's next? Putting Anavar and Decaboloni in a supplements list? It's not. They are not supplements, and I think it's important to be very clear about what is a supplement and what is not a supplement. Testosterone is not a supplement. It is a serious situation far above what a supplement actually is. And I'm not saying it doesn't build muscle. It does. But it's also a much bigger decision that he shouldn't be cheapening. Number 2 is going to be your diet knowledge and then the application of the diet as well. A lot of people, they have absolutely no structure with their diet, or they are very, very out of shape, and it just doesn't really make sense to use steroids in order to recomp and to like gain a little bit of muscle, lose a little bit of fat, when you could have gotten that result naturally. It just doesn't really make any sense at all. Again, especially if you're in your teens, you already have so much going for you that it just doesn't make any kind of sense at all. 3 is going to be, you're going to want to be within about 5 kilos or 10, 11 pounds within your genetic natural potential. Now, again, at 14, there's just no way that you're even close. I would say even at 21 or 22, you're probably not even close. Okay, I'm a little bit flexible on this. If you're within like 10 kilos, maybe. But if you're like 20 kilos away from your genetic natural potential and you're still getting newbie gains and things should be still really easy, it just doesn't really make sense to do that unnaturally when you could be making very, very good progress naturally. If you look at a lot of top bodybuilders, they were natural for a very, very long time. And they waited till they basically plateaued before they went to that side, and they got newbie gains all over again. Mixing newbie gains with steroids is an absolute travesty. Number 4 is going to be that you want to get lean first. If you are 25% body fat, your diet is probably not very good anyway, and thus I think it's sort of a waste, again, to use steroids. And if you're 30% body fat and you're using like TREN to try to recomp, like, oh, I'm going to gain muscle and lose fat with TREN at 30%, yeah, you might recomp, but again, you could do that naturally, and it's just a complete waste. Number 5, and this is a big one, you should have knowledge about the compounds. Research what you are putting in your body and research the endocrine system as a whole. A lot of people, they take these drugs and they have no idea what they are doing or what the ramifications will be, how it affects their kidneys, their heart, their lungs, anything. They just don't know. They have no idea. They haven't put in the work, not just in the gym, but on YouTube or doing research or in PubMed or forums, finding the information that they need to do it the right way, to do that responsibly. How many 14-year-olds are researching what they put in their body? Probably close to 0. In terms of resources, I don't have a lot of suggestions just because as a lifetime natural, I don't really need to know about that kind of thing. The vast majority of my clients are natural as well, so it's not really something that I have to know about or look into. I know a little bit about it just as general knowledge from watching More Plates, More Dates mostly, but it's not something that I have a ton of knowledge about, and it's not something that I really am a resource for. Number 6 is going to be that your goal physique needs them. I would say probably 95% of goal physiques that I get from clients do not need steroids for them or for anyone. Most people's goal physiques just like to be in shape, like 12 to 15% body fat with a bit of muscle, doesn't require steroids. If you want to compete in an untested federation or bodybuilding show, yes, you will almost certainly need some type of anabolic steroid. I don't know the specifics. Don't ask me. I get a lot of drug questions on Quora. I don't know, okay? Stop asking me if you should take whichever type of testosterone. I don't know, nor do I care. If you are competing in a natural federation, don't use steroids. That's just the most pathetic thing ever. It's not like you're winning a lot of money. You're just being a complete piece of shit by doing that, so don't do that. But if you're doing like a men's physique or like a classic physique or open bodybuilding or 212 or any of these shows where basically everyone is taking something, you almost certainly have to take something as well in order to be competitive, and in that case, it makes sense. But for most people, just to look in shape, it doesn't require them. Taking steroids to like get a decent beach body, don't. Just don't. Just put in the hard work, maximize the other factors, see where you are, and then maybe, again, in 3 to 5 years after optimal training, see if you need them, if you have to go down that road. But most people, they don't. Number 7 is that you accept the risks. And this is especially true if you have a family history of heart disease, of kidney issues, liver issues, etc. If you have like your family tree and it's like heart disease, heart disease, heart disease, heart disease, heart disease, heart attack at 44, or without taking steroids, realize that you are probably accelerating that path if you take steroids. Same thing with any other side effect. If it's hair loss and you want to keep your hair and you have a family history of hair loss, well, keep in mind that's probably going to accelerate things. So know the risks, know the side effects, know your family history. A genetic test can maybe help as well, but it's something that you need to accept if you go down that road. Number 8, similarly, is going to be regular blood work. I don't think this is 100% necessary, but especially if you have a family history of some issues, or if you have some other issues as well that you're dealing with, I think blood work is absolutely essential, especially as you get a little bit older. And so I think accepting the fact that you're going to have to get regular blood work and, divvying up that expense and that time to do it is important. Number 9 is going to be your loved ones. It's not just you, and I think it is an individual choice, but you should absolutely take other people in your life into account. That's one of the reasons why I don't take them. What if my wife and I try for a kid and things aren't working and it's my fault because I hopped on a cycle? That's something that would be really, really tough for her and for me as well. Especially if you have kids and you have a family history of some issues. Keep in mind, if you are really, really aggressive with your cycles, you could be, ensuring that your kids are fatherless. Is that something that you can really accept? Take a long look in the mirror and ask yourself if 5 extra kilos of muscle is actually worth it. Are you that vain that you're going to sacrifice you being in your kids' lives for that? I mean, it's a big decision. Actually, my wife saw my notes and saw loved ones and was like, loved ones? Who else? Who else is it? And so she took it upon herself to modify my notes in a very cute way. Number 10 is going to be legality. Now, this isn't the biggest factor. It's only illegal if you get caught, right? But I think, if something is illegal in your area, it should be a factor. It's something you have to accept, especially if you are dealing them. And it's a factor. They are a class 3 controlled substance, I think, in the US at least. Check in your area to see how controlled they are. And, it's something that you have to accept if you go down that road. Not the biggest factor, I would say, but it certainly should be a factor. So why don't I personally take steroids? It'd be so much easier to gain muscle, right? And that's something that is really important to me. Well, I don't check all of these boxes. I check some of them, but a lot of them I don't check, and therefore I am not willing to go down that road. You should assess yourself. One thing I can guarantee is that almost no teenagers check all of these boxes. I would say 0 teenagers check all of these boxes, and most of them are going to be at least a few years away from being fulfilled. So be honest with yourself, be logical. The male brain doesn't fully develop until 25 years old anyway, and I don't want to talk down to teenagers because when does that work anyway? But, just try to be logical. I'm not saying don't use them ever. I'm just saying really think about it and realize you can probably make progress without them. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to put your health at risk with them. Ultimately, it's a personal choice. but I'm just trying to help put things in perspective and make sure that it's not a choice that you regret. Because I've met a lot of people who do regret the choice. Sometimes they don't always say it, but often I can tell. And I just don't want that to happen to young people because they are influenced by these influencers who are normalizing it and making it even glorified in some cases. All right, that's all for this video. Sort of a depressing one, but I think an important one as well. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
誰が呼んだか暴走戦車。俺様の名前はジャガーノート。無敵。無敵か。無敵。お前程度が無敵だと。